Hello students, I welcome you to the second video of Class 10 Political Science Chapter 1. Students, as we have already discussed in our previous video, few topics of the Chapter 1. So, today I'll be dealing with you in this video series, basically two teaching points and within which we have some sub points. Okay, so in this video we'll be learning meaning of majoritarianism, then majoritarianism that was being practiced in Sri Lanka, then due to this some problems occurred, that is the reasons for the feeling of alienation among Tamils we will learn there. Then after we will learn civil war. So before going to the discussion in this video, let us have a brief abridgment of previous class. Students, I already have covered in the previous video the meaning of power sharing, where we have understood about the definition of power sharing, what power sharing is. Okay, so there I have said that power sharing is nothing, it is a distribution of power in a democratic system, right? And after that we also have discussed about Belgium and Sri Lanka, in which we have understood about the location of Sri Lanka as well as Belgium, and at last we have ended the video with the ethnic composition in both Belgium and Sri Lanka. Okay, so in the ethnic composition we already have understood in Sri Lanka as well as in Belgium the social diversity basically, and the various linguistic groups of people and also the religious group of people, that especially in Sri Lanka's case. Okay, so today in this video series we will first discuss the majoritarianism. So what is majoritarianism? If we are asked to write, then what will be our answer? That is, majoritarianism is a belief that the majority community should be able to rule a country in whichever way it wants by disregarding the needs of minorities. So here what majoritarianism, see here here at last what we have, ISM, majoritarianism. So majoritarianism, it's a philosophy or ideology, okay, or we can say it's a belief. This belief basically says, this belief says that majority community, see in any country there used to be some majority community and there used to be some minority community, either it is based on language, religion, caste, creed or whatever. Okay, so on the ground of different societal factor, there used to be majority and minority communities in any societies, right? So the country in which the majority community is believed to be the superior and they disregard the minorities, okay, so that kind of belief actually called majoritarianism. I hope it is clear to you, right? So this majoritarianism especially we will understand in the context of Sri Lanka. Okay, so coming to the next topic of today's video series, that is steps towards majoritarianism in Sri Lanka. So how did the government of Sri Lanka had practiced the idea of majoritarianism or the belief of majoritarianism? Okay, so this majoritarianism idea, how had it emerged in the Sri Lankan context? See, Sri Lanka had attained its independence in 1948, right? So before 1948 Sri Lanka was being colonized by Britain, as like India till 1947 the British colonial power had colonized our country, right? So likewise in Sri Lanka also there was a colonial rule, and in 1948 it attained its independence. Okay, now coming to the next, after attainment of its independence, the Sri Lankan majority leaders, that means there were two linguistic groups of people basically. They were Sinhala speaking people and Tamil speaking people. Already we have learned in the previous video, right? So Sinhala speaking people were how many percentage? 74% in the country's total population, right? So Sinhala speaking people were by virtue of majority wanted to establish their majority dominance in the country, right? So see the Sinhala speaking people were majority in number, so they thought that why not our rule will be prevailing in the country, why should we listen the minority, right? So in this way this thought came in the mind of the leaders of the Sinhala speaking people. So as a result of this thought, what happened? The democratically elected government passed an act in 1956 to recognize Sinhala as the only official language. You see here, Sinhala as the only official language. Okay, thus disregarding the Tamils. You see, the government of Sri Lanka was democratically elected. It was not non-democratic government, right? So it was an elected government, but this elected government had clearly disregarded the needs or the importance of minority, that is the Tamil group of people. Okay, and they wanted to make the Sinhala speaking people superior. Okay, so for that they have passed an act in the government in 1956, and that act has recognized the Sinhala is the only official language. See, when a language is being recognized the official language, so what is the benefit of that language? So the people have to communicate in that language, people have to read in that language. Okay, people have to write the examination in that language, right? So in that way the people will be having more chances of getting the jobs and other positions, okay, in the administration from the people who are familiar or who are convenient with that particular language. Okay, so here the Tamil speaking people were, or the Tamil language was not recognized, so Tamil linguistic people, group of people were under fear that their language and culture is in threat, right? Next point, the preferential policy followed by the government favored Sinhala applicants for university position and the government job. See, the Sinhala majority government in Sri Lanka not only had passed the act which recognized the Sinhala language as the only official language, but also had adopted a preferential policy. That preferential policy had favored the Sinhala applicants. Sinhala applicants means here the Sinhala people. Okay, Sinhala people who are seeking the job there in Sri Lanka, right? So for only those people it was a favorable, okay, the preferential policy had favored, right? So getting the university position, I mean to say to get the admission in university, to get the government job, right? Since it was an official language, right? So this is what the situation was being created by the majority Sinhala government. Okay, coming to the next point, you see the Sri Lankan government had also made provisions through a new constitution that protected and fostered Buddhism. Previously in our previous class we also have discussed there that majority of the Sinhala speaking people were Buddhist. I mean they followed the Buddhism, right? So the Sinhala people's religion was what? Buddhism, right? So since the majority people were following the Buddhism, so this religion was being fostered or protected by the Sri Lankan government, okay, with the help of different policies and the measures, right? And the Tamil speaking people were fed up with the decisions of the Sinhala majority government in the Sri Lanka. So that is why they had started demanding the government that their language also had to be made or given as the official recognition, but it was repeatedly denied. See, in the last point what I have said, as most of the Sinhalese were Buddhist, the majority led government denied the minority, that is Tamils, religiously too. See, religiously also the Tamils were not fostered or they were not encouraged at all there in Sri Lanka. Okay, so they were being repeatedly denied by the Sri Lankan government, right? So these were the steps towards the following the majoritarianism in the Sri Lankan democratic politics. Okay, so though the country was democratic, I mean declared after independence as democratic country, right? But truly it was not a democratic country, because one group of people were completely denied from getting their equal rights and justice, right? So that is why here we are reading this majoritarianism, right? So relating to the concept of power sharing, what we can understand from the story of Sri Lanka here is that the power sharing model that speaks basically the distribution of power equally among all the social group of people, here it was not done so far. Okay, the majority group of people only was given more favor by the government, and the minority was continuously disregarded. Is it clear to all of you, right? So the power sharing model was not properly followed, I mean to say, here in Sri Lankan context. So since the Sri Lankan Tamils were repeatedly denied by the Sri Lankan government, right? So they were feeling there as the alienation. Okay, this alienation feeling came in the mind of the Sri Lankan Tamils. So what is alienation here? Alienation means kind of act of separation or isolation, right? So though they were the citizens of Sri Lanka only, they were the indigenous people of Sri Lanka, especially the Sri Lankan Tamils. Okay, I have already said there were two groups of people within Tamils, right? One was Sri Lankan Tamils and another group is Indian Tamils who migrated from India. But especially those Sri Lankan Tamils were the native Tamils of the Sri Lankan territory, right? But though they were native, their existence was not recognized by the government of Sri Lanka. Okay, so that is why within their territory, within their country, they have felt alienation. Okay, alienation means separation or kind of isolation. So as a result of what? This majoritarianism policy again. So what were the reasons for this? The Language Act, the very first step towards the encouragement of this alienation feeling is what? The Language Act of 1956. See, in the first point, this act has recognized Sinhala as the only official language, thus disregarding Tamils. You see, okay, so Tamil language was not recognized, only Sinhala was recognized. Okay, so if Tamils are not recognized, Tamil language is not recognized as the official language, then isn't it's a deprivation done towards the Tamil people in Sri Lanka, right? So that is why they felt alienation in their own country. Okay, so what next step? Sinhala government followed preferential policy. We already have discussed in previous topic, right? So this preferential policy, what it did, it favored the Sinhala applicants for university position and government jobs, right? Disregarding again the Tamils. So Tamils were not able to get the university position as well as the government jobs because they were speaking Tamil, and the Sinhala language was not known to them, right? So see, if all of a sudden we are being imposed the Chinese language over India or Assam, right, then will we be able to speak Chinese language all of a sudden? Or if we are being told to read and write in French or other language, okay, then will we be able to speak and write? It is not, because from the very beginning we have been reading and writing in English, so, right? So with this language we are familiar, right? But all of a sudden the Tamil speaking people were imposed the Sinhala language, which was not at all favorable for the Tamil speaking people. Is it clear? Okay, so another reason for the feeling of alienation, see, none of the political parties led by the Buddhist Sinhala leaders were sensitive to the language and culture of Tamil. See, the government of Sri Lanka had denied the existence and the interest of Tamils, but all the political parties were supporting that act of the government. You see, none of the political parties which were led by the Sinhala leaders, I mean Sinhala leaders were Buddhist also at the same time, right? So Buddhist Sinhala leaders were not sensitive towards the need or the protection of language and culture of Tamils. So don't you think anybody will feel alienation or isolation from this kind of injustice or this kind of discriminatory act of the government, right? Then next point, what it is, Tamils felt that the government policies and constitution denied them from getting equal political rights and other benefits. Yeah, since these things were done or these things were going with the Tamils, right? So they felt they were bound to feel that their political rights were denied by the constitution, and the equal rights and the justice or the benefits were also at the same time denied. Okay, so that is why the feeling of alienation originated in the mind of the Tamil speaking people in Sri Lanka, right? So at the last point, what we have, Tamils raised their demands. See, all those things, all those injustices were going on with Tamils, right? And at last they have started demanding for equal rights. Okay, so they have started demanding for equal rights and benefits, but what the Sri Lankan government, what the Sri Lankan government had done here is that they had denied, repeatedly denied. Okay, so the Sri Lankan government denied repeatedly, so as a result the Tamils were bound to take other way out, okay, for getting their demands done. So here the topic, last topic we have, that is civil, sorry, one letter has been left here, this one, civil war it should be, okay, WAR, it is being missed out. Okay, so please do correct it. So how this civil war took place? See, we have already discussed that the demands of the Tamils were repeatedly denied, right? So they were, the Sinhala government was not approving the demands, okay, not giving any positive response to the demands of the Tamils, right? So due to the repeated denial of the Tamil demands, the Tamils political parties got together to demand an independently, sorry, demand an independent, this is independent, okay, independent Tamil Ilam or Tamil state, not independently, it is independent. Okay, so when they were tired of by demanding their political rights, equal rights and justice or the benefits, okay, so at last they, all the Tamil political parties got together and they have started demanding for what, for the independent Tamil state. So basically the Tamil speaking people, Sri Lankan Tamils, were lived in eastern and northern part of Sri Lanka. So comprising eastern and northern part of Sri Lanka, they have demanded for an independent Tamil state or Ilam. Ilam is a Tamil word, so here state, okay, Ilam means state, right? As a result of this, both Sinhala and Tamil speaking communities started fighting, turning the situation a violent one. See, when the Sinhala speaking people had disrespected, okay, the government has disrespected, right? So that is why the Tamil speaking people, whenever they saw the Sinhala speaking people, so kind of anger develop in their mind. So that is why the community violence, right, violence in the community level started taking place. Okay, so wherever they met, they confronted it or they clashed, right? So in this way the situation has turned into a very terrifying situation. Okay, so thus at last what happened, the civil war began in 1983 and this continued for around 26 years till 2009. So see, when the Tamils were repeatedly denied of their demands, right, so they were left out with no way, okay, other than becoming violent, right? So that is why the violent clash started taking place between these two communities, Sinhala speaking people and Tamil speaking people. As a result, the civil war had occurred in Sri Lanka. So what civil war exactly, if we are asked to write the definition of civil war, not in the context of Sri Lanka, then what we will write? Civil war is a war which is fought by the communities of a country within the boundary of a nation. It takes place, okay, it does not spread or it does not spread in outside the boundary, right? So within the country the war takes place, right? So it may be between two religious community, it may be between two linguistic community, or it may be two ethnic communities. Okay, so this Sinhala speaking and Tamil speaking people were fighting in Sri Lanka itself, right? So that is why it is said to be civil war. Okay, the war caused a terrible setback to the social, cultural and economic life of the country. Definitely, see, any war okay, if takes place, then after made of war we lose many things. We may lose human lives, we may lose our property, we may lose our monuments, we may lose our very precious things, right? So a country after made of war will witness a huge destruction. So here the civil war also had setback to the social and setback, a terrible um, effect, okay, to the social, cultural and economic life of the country. I hope this civil war in the context of Sri Lanka was clear, and the reasons why the civil war had occurred. Okay, so all these things are clear to you. Now I have brought a few questions for you on the basis of today's video lecture. Okay, the first question is define majoritarianism. So at the very first topic I have already discussed with you. Let me go again back to that slide. Okay, so define majoritarianism. So what we have to write here, these lines you will write. Okay, so majoritarianism is a belief that the majority community should be able to rule a country in whichever way it wants by disregarding the needs of the minorities. Okay, so this is a definition for what? Definition for majoritarianism, right? Then coming to the next question. What is the next question? What steps did Sri Lankan government take to impose majoritarianism rule in the country? Explain. Okay, so what were the steps taken by the Sri Lankan government? Already we have written here and discussed thoroughly, right? So here I have brought for you 5 steps that the government of Sri Lanka had taken, okay, towards the majoritarianism rule, right? So it had imposed the majoritarianism rule in Sri Lanka, okay, by disregarding the minority, that is Tamil, right? So these 5 points if you will write 1, 2, 3 and next 2 points here we have, okay. So these 5 points if you will write, then it will be more than enough, it will be fine, okay. Then coming to the next question, that is what factors led to the development of the feeling of alienation among Tamils in Sri Lanka? Discuss. Or number 4 question also we are writing in or, that means the answer will be same, okay, for both the question, right? So here what is the number 4 question? What led to the strained relationship between Sinhalese and Tamils in Sri Lanka? Explain. Okay, so what strained means? Strained means a very bad relation, okay. It was not a good relation prevailed between these two communities as a result of this majoritarianism rule, okay. And this feeling of alienation already we have thoroughly discussed in our previous slide, okay. So here already I have said this the reasons of feeling of alienation, okay. So these 5 points if you will write for both 3 and 4 questions, it will be fine, okay. So by this we have ended the video, right? If you have any doubts or any queries, you can ask in the comment section, right? Or if you do not have any doubts also, just go through these questions and go through your book as well, okay. Because reading, book reading habit will enhance your knowledge, because here I'm missing many things, okay, that you have already in the book in elaborate way, right? So that is why you have to read the book and do these answers, okay. So don't rely only on the YouTube videos. Thank you.